You've probably heard that a great character arc can make or break a story. But did you know that 80% of readers abandon a book because the characters just don't resonate? That's a huge number. It's not the plot, the setting, or even the writing style, it's the characters. And more specifically, the way they grow, change, or fail to do so. So, what's the secret to creating a character arc that keeps readers turning the pages? It's not just about making your character good or bad. It's about giving them depth, challenges, and transformations that feel earned and real. If you nail the arc, you'll capture your readers' hearts. Fail, and they'll forget your character faster than they can say, plot twist. In this article, we're going to dive deep into crafting character arcs that hook your readers from the first page to the last. We'll explore the power of flaws, the tension between redemption and ruin, and how nonlinear arcs can create unforgettable impact. Ready to unlock the secret to building characters who stick with your readers long after the book is closed? Let's jump in. Chapter 1: The Secret Ingredient. Flaw mapping. To craft an unforgettable character, you need to start with one key ingredient: imperfection. In every great story, characters are defined not just by their virtues, but by their flaws. The best characters are relatable because they face challenges that mirror our own struggles. Take, for instance, Elizabeth Bennet from Pride and Prejudice. Her sharp wit is both her strength and her flaw, making her journey so captivating. Flaw mapping is simple but powerful. Begin by identifying one main flaw that will be central to your character's arc. This flaw isn't just about weakness, it's the starting point of change. Think of Harry Potter's insecurity in the Sorcerer's Stone or Luke Skywalker's youthful arrogance in Star Wars. Both characters' flaws drive their growth. Once you've identified the flaw, the goal is to create moments that challenge it throughout the story. Let's say your character struggles with trust. Every time they're faced with a situation that forces them to choose between trusting someone or going it alone, you're presenting them with an opportunity to evolve. And here's the kicker: flaws don't have to be obvious. A subtle flaw, like an inability to show affection, can create conflict that keeps readers hooked. It's the inner battle that makes the arc compelling, not just the external conflict. Think of Sherlock Holmes. His emotional coldness makes his victories bittersweet. Remember, the best character arcs are about overcoming inner weaknesses, and each flaw maps directly to their transformation. By focusing on how the flaw is challenged, you'll create a character arc that feels earned. A study by the Writer's Digest found that readers engage 65% more deeply with characters who undergo visible personal growth, which shows the power of flaw-driven stories. Chapter 2: The Flip Side. When redemption meets ruin. Now, let's talk about character arcs that keep readers guessing, those that balance between redemption and ruin. Rather than a predictable, good character turns better storyline, think of a character who's constantly on the edge of salvation or destruction. Look at Breaking Bad's Walter White. His transformation isn't just about redeeming himself. It's about seeing how far he's willing to go before he's irredeemable. His journey is a fine line, and that tension, will he rise or fall, is what hooks the audience. In your story, consider placing your character at a crossroads multiple times. Each time they face a decision, it should feel like it could lead to either a higher purpose or a darker fate. These decisions should be tough and morally grey. By doing this, you maintain a high level of intrigue and suspense. This concept is also reflected in literature, such as in Macbeth by Shakespeare. Macbeth is given multiple opportunities to turn back, but his greed pushes him toward ruin instead. His arc is so compelling because there's always a sense that redemption is just within reach, if only he would take it. A key strategy is using other characters as mirrors. For instance, if your protagonist is struggling with redemption, place another character in their life who is a mirror image of them at the start of the story. Maybe this character has already given in to their flaws, showing what might happen if your protagonist doesn't make a change. This dual path of redemption and ruin creates tension that will keep your readers on their toes. According to research from Psychology Today, people are drawn to characters who face morally complex decisions, as it reflects real-world struggles with ethics and self-control. This unpredictability can make your character's arc unforgettable. Chapter 3: Breaking the Mold. Nonlinear arcs for unforgettable impact. While traditional character arcs move from A to B, nonlinear arcs add complexity and depth. A nonlinear character arc means that your protagonist doesn't simply move forward in a straight line. Instead, their growth might involve multiple steps backward before they can move forward. Consider The Great Gatsby. Gatsby's arc isn't a simple rise and fall. Instead, it's more like a spiral. At times, it seems he's getting closer to his dreams, but each step forward is met with setbacks that bring him further from reality. This type of arc shows that growth isn't always linear, and sometimes, progress is made through failure. When crafting a nonlinear arc, think about how your character might experience moments of regression. This can be emotional, like a character struggling with addiction, or it could be intellectual, where the character feels smarter but also more isolated. These moments of backsliding help make the eventual payoff feel even greater. The key is to show that the character's growth isn't just about advancing. They need to fall, fail, and face their past in meaningful ways. A strong nonlinear arc can be emotionally powerful because it mimics real-life growth, where we often take 2 steps forward and 1 step back. In movies like The Pursuit of Happiness, the nonlinear arc is crucial. Chris Gardner's journey includes setbacks, poverty, and rejection, but each failure leads him closer to his dream. The key here is making each setback feel like an important part of the process. The beauty of nonlinear arcs lies in their ability to defy expectations. They tap into a universal truth: real growth doesn't happen in a straight line. According to The Atlantic, nonlinear storytelling taps into the human experience in a way that traditional arcs sometimes can't, keeping audiences more engaged. By challenging the traditional arc, you'll create a character that resonates with readers because their journey feels authentic, messy, and real. If you're enjoying these insights and strategies, don't forget to subscribe to get the next set of chapters, which will explore even more unique ways to make your characters unforgettable. Chapter 4: The Mirror Technique. Dual arcs that reflect one another. One of the most powerful ways to deepen your character arcs is by introducing a dual arc, a second character whose journey mirrors or contrasts with your protagonists. This technique helps create a sense of thematic balance and emotional resonance in your story. Take The Godfather for example. Michael Corleone's arc, which begins with his reluctance to join the family business, contrasts sharply with his brother Sonny's arc, which embraces violence. The difference between their arcs adds complexity, as we see how similar paths lead to different outcomes. This dual arc makes both characters' transformations much more compelling. A mirrored arc doesn't always mean a perfect opposite. Instead, consider 2 characters whose experiences lead to similar growth, but in very different ways. For example, in The Lord of the Rings, Frodo and Gollum share parallel journeys. They both desire the One Ring, but their choices and arcs take drastically different paths, creating a deep contrast. This technique works because it lets your readers compare and contrast the characters, highlighting the changes they undergo. The dramatic effect is more profound when they realize that these 2 characters were once very similar, yet the choices they made led them to very different places. To make a mirrored arc effective, focus on specific themes. If one character learns to trust others, show how another character's arc is about learning to trust themselves. This allows their journeys to illuminate each other, adding depth to both. By having characters' arcs reflect each other, you invite the reader to engage with each character's growth. According to a study by the Journal of Fiction Studies, readers are more invested in dual character arcs because they provide a sense of emotional richness and understanding, helping readers feel more connected to the characters' individual journeys. Chapter 5: The Anti-Hero's Path. Crafting a selfish arc with substance. Next, let's dive into one of the most captivating character types, the anti-hero. These are the characters who walk the line between good and bad, often making selfish or morally ambiguous decisions. But what makes them so compelling is the transformation they undergo throughout the story. Think of Tony Soprano from The Sopranos. Tony is a character who lives outside of the traditional hero mold, yet his journey still pulls you in. His selfishness doesn't make him any less fascinating, it adds layers. His arc is about struggling with the consequences of his choices, making him both a deeply flawed and strangely sympathetic character. To create an anti-hero arc that resonates, give your character a clear motivation, even if it's selfish. Perhaps they desire power, revenge, or love. But to keep them relatable, they should also face real consequences for their actions. The key is showing the humanity behind their selfish desires. In Breaking Bad, Walter White's desire to provide for his family starts as a noble cause but quickly descends into moral decay. An important aspect of an anti-hero arc is the internal conflict. The best anti-heroes aren't fully aware of the damage they're causing or the depths they're sinking to. This creates a tension between what they want and what they actually need. In Mad Men, Don Draper's arc is driven by his constant self-deception and avoidance of the pain he's caused to others, making his transformation one that's both heartbreaking and fascinating. According to The Guardian, anti-heroes are popular because they mirror the complexity of real human behavior, where motivations are rarely black and white. If you're aiming to create a character that's morally grey, make sure their choices are flawed but justified in their own minds. Readers will root for them because, despite their faults, they're still pursuing something meaningful. In the end, the anti-hero arc works because it mirrors the complexity of real-life choices. A 2019 study from University of California Press found that anti-heroes are among the most engaging characters because they challenge the traditional definitions of right and wrong, allowing readers to explore their own moral compass. Chapter 6: The Arc of Relevance. Why every change should echo the theme. Every character arc you create should serve a larger purpose, one that resonates with the central themes of your story. A great character transformation isn't just about growth, it's about how that growth ties into the bigger picture. The more connected their arc is to the theme, the more impactful it becomes. In The Hunger Games, Katniss Everdeen's arc is a perfect example. Her journey is tied directly to themes of survival, sacrifice, and rebellion. She starts out fighting only to survive but gradually takes on the mantle of leader, representing the larger fight for justice. Her transformation isn't just personal, it's symbolic of the story's greater themes. To make sure your character arc aligns with your theme, consider how the character's choices reflect the central message. If your theme is about redemption, make sure your protagonist's arc is centered around a moral conflict that needs to be resolved. In Les Miserables, Jean Valjean's transformation is deeply tied to the theme of grace, with his entire character arc representing the possibility of redemption. Every change your character experiences should be a step toward embracing the theme. Whether it's about overcoming fear, achieving freedom, or understanding love, your character's arc should echo these larger ideas in a way that feels natural and inevitable. By doing this, you ensure that your story's emotional impact lasts long after the last page is turned. The importance of thematic relevance in character arcs can't be overstated. According to the New York Times, stories with strong thematic resonance create deeper connections with audiences, leading them to reflect on their own lives. When a character's growth mirrors the theme, it becomes more than just an arc, it becomes a universal experience. In fact, a 2020 study published in Storytelling Journal found that 73% of readers are more likely to connect with a character whose arc is clearly aligned with the overall theme. This makes your character's journey feel necessary, as it isn't just about the character, it's about the larger message the story imparts. If you found these tips useful, don't forget to subscribe for more in-depth strategies and insights on how to craft character arcs that leave a lasting impact on your readers.